Saskatchewan's children's advocate Corey Soup joins me now to talk more about the recommendations to help our youth in the North. You made a report about a month ago and the province accepted the recommendations you made around youth suicide in Saskatchewan's North. What's happened since you delivered those recommendations and they were accepted by the province?
Yeah, the initial reaction was positive from the government, and they came out and they accepted all the recommendations, which is really good. It's been over the Christmas season that that this has happened, so we haven't really gotten too far. We've started to hold meetings with some of the officials, and they've been really positive so far. So we're looking to keep moving forward on that front.
Tell me about some of the key recommendations that you would like to see move forward as we get into the new year.
I really want to focus on what the kids have to say. I've made a couple recommendations in there myself about adopting Jordan's principle and about supporting, the suicide strategies from the FSIN and the Métis Nation. And I think we can do that, but what I really want to focus on is what the kids have to say. And they're talking about stopping bullying, about drug and alcohol misuse in their communities, about feeling safe in their communities. And, they've themed it out really well, and I think we need to respond to that immediately.
Are there different needs based on which community you're in northern Saskatchewan, or are they all pretty similar?
There are similar things like underneath everything, but once you get into each community is unique and they struggle with different things depending on the community. And I think that we need to treat them as individual communities and we can't lump them all together.
Tell me more about what it's like to live in Saskatchewan's North. I don't know that everybody in the South understands that there are some things that make it wonderful, and then it has its unique challenges as well.
Yeah, as we talk to the kids, we started off the conversations not talking about the issue of suicide. We asked them, what you like about your community? What are you proud of? And they really love being out in the open. They love, the open lakes. They love hunting and fishing and trapping and doing all of that kind of stuff. There's a real sense of freedom that they talked about. But with that sense of freedom, there's also a sense of isolation too, which creates its own sense of challenges. Getting up there, sometimes you can only fly into these places, which leads to different problems around, food security, for instance, that the kids also mentioned. If a jug of milk costs $20 and a can of pop still costs $1, there's something inherently wrong with that. And I think that there's things that we can do as a government to fix those types of issues. So we need to really consider these concerns that the communities have.
Have you heard from the government that it wants to move forward on some of these things?
I think that what they want to do is they want to take a look at it first, which they always want to do, but I think the time is for action now. And I think they really do want to make positive change, they just don't know how. And I think that's part of our role as the Advocate's Office, is to give them a pathway there. And I think our report is really going to be one of the answers for them, that if they really take a look at it and really detailed and see what the kids have to say, there's multiple opportunities for them to respond in a positive way.
Is there a timeline associated with it? We're seeing kids taking their own lives still. This is tough. This is immediate.
The timeline was yesterday. I think we are able to do things now. And there's things that the kids are talking about that are very practical that we can do. Not just the government, but also their families and their friends and their communities and their local leaders. And they can do things today that are in the report that the kids are talking about. And we have had meetings with some of the communities in the North that were part of the report, and they're already taking action on the report.
Let's talk specifically about Fond du Lac. This terrible plane crash, a young man passed away as a result of that crash, and now there's been 2 young people who have taken their own lives. What supports does this community need?
It's hard in our northern communities because they suffer one trauma after another, not just Fond du Lac, but all of our communities. And it seems like they never have a chance to grieve. And if we could just give them some time to grieve and recover and, heal a little bit. And that's one of the things that they need to do, and that's so difficult. Yes, we need to get some supports in there, and I know that there are already supports going in there, but those supports as well just can't be for the next 2 weeks or the next 3 weeks. They have to be long-term sustainable solutions for our communities in the North. And they have to be able to build relationships and to be able to get to know the people up there. So what I would say is that we need to create solutions from within the communities. We need to start training people in the communities to be the professionals, to provide those supports for their own people and their own communities. And I think that's something that we can do.
Thanks for your time today, Corey.
Yes, no problem. Thank you, Jill.